In three, two, one.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, 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 and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, bringing you the latest exclusive breaking news, previewing and reviewing the latest shows from WWE, AEW, New Japan, and everything in between every Saturday, and interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rove Energy and Player One Coffee. I am, of course, your host, James J., alongside Kaliko Yachts, who is not here today, but who is Scooter Dust.
You know, when Dwayne Johnson buys a pair of cutting shears, that's rock, paper, scissors.
And it is a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole!
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you guys?
We're doing good.
Good.
Can you tell us what you got coming up next?
Yes, so I've actually been off. I had surgery in May. So I'll be having my first match back on November 12th at C4 in Ottawa. So I'm excited for that. It's me, Puff, and Sexy Eddie against the Voros twins and Beta Scott. And actually, right now is all I really have coming up.
They're really
That's
throwing
all
you
I really
into
have
the
coming
deep
up right
with
now, just 'cause it's my first match.
that match.
Yeah, they really are. They really are. They surprised me with that one, that's for sure.
And where can we find you on social media and your merchandise as well?
Social media, I am on Twitter at It's Alexia Nicole, on Instagram at Alexia Nicole, and you can get merchandise at www.alexianicolewrestler.bigcartel.com. I think that's the link. I have it on all my socials though, so if I got it wrong, which I probably did, you can just find it from there.
And you don't even need to. All those links will be in the description of the video below, both on YouTube and Castbox.
Perfect. Thank you.
I was just gonna say, you had merchandise on WWE. Is there something
No,
you're not
I
telling
wish.
us?
I wish. It could be much easier.
Now, can you tell us about wrestling in the pandemic era of pro wrestling and in front of no crowd?
It was really awkward. I did not enjoy it at all. There were parts that I enjoyed, like I loved doing Backyard Pro. That was a fun, different experience. But in terms of like just like filming wrestling matches with no crowd, um, it felt weird. It felt different. It's sure I could focus on the match a little bit more and my work a little bit more, which was nice. But it just wrestling is not the same without a crowd, and I really learned to appreciate that during the pandemic.
All right. And Scooter, you have a question.
All right. Well, you did mention Backyard Pro, and we are avid fans of Backyard Pro. Tell us how Detective Cookie Dough came into being.
So when Von Vertigo had presented the idea to a group of us, he basically said, create whatever character you'd like. It doesn't have to be who you are. You can do whatever you want. And Gabriel Fuerza, actually, who is Jay Wheeler on Backyard Pro, he was like, you should be a detective, because I had previously worked as a private investigator in real life, and he was always like, you should be a detective. You should be a detective. Why aren't you wrestling as a detective? So I took him up on that. I'm like, okay, I'll be a detective. And that's really Detective Cookie Dough just kind of came from there. I was trying to think about, what would be kind of funny and cute and like not backyard wrestlery at all, because I had never watched backyard wrestling. So I didn't want to try and intimidate something that I had never watched before. And that's really just kind of evolved from there.
Nice. All right.
And now you're the second ever Backyard Pro champion.
That is correct. And I'm the current Backyard Pro champion as well.
Yes, but Rob Banks stole your title in the last episode of season 3. He even pulled a couple knives out on you as well.
Yeah, just a few. Just a briefcase full of them.
Could you tell us what we could maybe expect Detective Cookie to do in the next season, considering she is a champion without a title?
She's definitely going to be looking for Rob Banks. She's going to put those detective skills to work, and she's going to track him down. And that's really all I can say.
All right. Now, you was on PWI's Top 100 Women in 2018. You was 97, 97, yeah. In 2019, you was 94. And in 2020, you was 55. What does that
Yes.
progress mean to you?
It means a lot. I feel, especially from that jump from 90, was it 94 to 50? I don't even remember what the numbers were.
94 to
But
55.
that, yeah, that 94 to 55 especially meant a lot to me. The first one meant a lot because I feel like I had been wrestling for a while and just like, I don't know, I definitely was very insecure about what I was doing, if it was good. So getting on that list meant a lot to me. And then this next year, getting up a little bit higher, that was like really cool. And then to make that jump in a year that I had spent, like I had really devoted a lot of time to improving my in-ring work, improving my character, and doing all that, I felt kind of validated. Like what I had been doing was working, and that I would keep working. So yeah, it was nice. It made me very happy. It reassured that I was doing the right things for me.
Where would you like to rank in 2022? Since, you're
Um,
injury free and
yeah.
things are kind of, borders are opening back up and wrestling is kind of having a jump start again.
Yeah. I don't know, because the thing is, I will say, like the girls in the States really like as much as the pandemic affected everybody, I think they really still had a chance to keep going, keep wrestling, and keep just trying new things and really get better and better. Like I've seen so many names come up that I've never heard of before the pandemic, and now I'm seeing everywhere, and that's great. I love that. But I would definitely, I don't know, I definitely like to see myself on that list, but especially with everything opening up, I'm starting to fill up my schedule. I can't really announce anything yet, but like I'm starting to fill up my schedule. I hopefully it includes some dates outside of Canada, which would be great because it is something I've been wanting to do. So I'm hoping that now is finally the time. And I'm hoping to, if I can at least get back in that like 90s ranking, that would be nice.
All right. And Scooter, you have a question.
Yes. Now, this is something that stood out to me, from the moment we realized we were doing this interview. Your finisher, at least according to Cage Match, is listed as dyslexia. How?
Oh man, that's old.
How in the world did that come about? I mean, did life give you melons or lemons?
I guess life gave me lemons. I don't know. It was at the time I had just started wrestling, and I'm like, I need a finisher and I need a name for it. And it just kind of, I was at the time that was a tornado DDT, and I was like, oh well, dyslexia makes sense. So I just went with it. But man, that I haven't done that in years. I gotta go update my own Cage Match page.
Up, hashtag update cage match.
Yeah.
Well, I think I could piggyback on that with another moveset question. You're an avid user of the good old traditional pile driver, something we
Yes.
don't really see on mainstream television anymore because of the risk factor. And if you could see me right now, I'm using air quotes. Did that? Did the does the outlawing of the move in on mainstream pro wrestling television, did it change how often you used it? Did you make you want to use it more so that you stood out?
A bit of both. It definitely made me worried to try it. Like it wasn't a move that like I'm just going to start doing pile drivers. It was something that people had said, you should try this. And I mean, not to, this kind of feels weird to say about myself, but I have very thick thighs. So pile drivers are kind of a great move for me because it doesn't hurt me at all. And really, it does kind of protect the person I'm working with, breaking kayfabe a little. There's lots of space for their head. There's a nice cushioned landing. So it was a move that I was scared to try, but I knew that I kind of have a bit of a leg up in doing. Like I do have a bit of an advantage. I can do it safely. And it's the fact that not a lot of people do it is great because I feel like especially when I started wrestling, I got set in a trap of doing a lot of moves that a lot of people did because they were simple. And I knew that I could do them to anybody. And because I'm so small, I wasn't lifting people. So my moveset was very limited. But now I've just kind of gotten past that.
It is a move that is kind of considered taboo to some. Was there anybody that was like, no, I don't feel comfortable taking that move from you?
No, I always ask people ahead of time, and if they want to or not. And if they don't, I totally get it. It is scary. I was very scared the first time I took one. But most people are pretty open to it. Like some people just ask to take it, and I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. But I tried it. It is scary, so I always try to respect what people want to do and what they don't want to do. I never want to push someone past their comfort zone because I know, I mean, like I said, I just had surgery in May. I know how much injuries suck. I don't want to have that happen to anyone.
Now that injury you got, was that something that you got during a match or just something that accumulated over time?
Accumulated. I've had shoulder issues since I started wrestling and just a lot of dislocations, and it just kind of over time got worse and worse. So I needed to go in and get a major surgery done to fix everything.
Okay. Now, your very first pro wrestling match was against Angelina Love. What is your mindset going into a match with somebody pretty established at that point?
Oh, I was terrified. I was so nervous, and especially it was on Canada Day and like this big outdoor show. There was lots of people. It was a cool thing to be a part of, but for my first match, I was so scared. I did have the benefit though, like my trainer also trained Angelina Love, so
Okay.
she was very open to working with me. She pretty much knew, like she had gone through sort of the same curriculum, so she kind of knew where I was at having my first match. So she was very prepared for how to go through that with me. But it was very scary. I was very nervous.
Did it help that it was a triple threat, or did it
It was
just
a
kind
mixed
of
tag.
add in having somebody else in that same position as you, or was it still really nerve-wracking?
Still really nerve-wracking. It was a mixed tag, and thankfully she was training. She was teaming with one of my trainers, and I was teaming with someone who had been wrestling a really long time. So I knew I would be okay, but still, again, very nervous. I think I was 17 at the time too. It was just a huge, like, I don't want to say culture shock, but it was a very like nerve-wracking experience, I guess. Everything about it kind of threw me off. I was not at all, had never been in a similar situation, so it was a very 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 scary day, but it went really well, so I can't complain.
All right. Scooter, you have a question.
Yes. Yeah, we go from your first match to perhaps one of the most important matches of your entire career so far. Tell us about your match for the NWA Women's World Championship against Jazz.
Again, scary. Very nerve-wracking. It's weird to wrestle people you watched on TV. It's a weird experience. It's a fun, cool experience, but it's so weird. It's almost like an out of body experience. But she was fantastic. I could not have asked for a better opponent in that specific scenario, a better opportunity. She taught me so much. I was so lucky to get to work with her another time after that. yeah, scary, but I've learned so much from that match, and it's really helped me get to where I am now.
One name that caught my eye as well was Heidi Lovelace, which is Ruby Soho. Can you
Yeah.
tell us about that match and about your experience wrestling her and maybe what you learned?
Yeah, like I've gotten to wrestle her. I think we've had one singles match and like a couple of tag matches. Honestly, I've definitely seen her at so many shows that I don't remember how many we've actually wrestled each other at. But again, she was so much fun to work with, and again, someone I learned a lot from. Also, because she is not the biggest, she is not the strongest, and neither am I. And she really taught me how to use what you can do and make that work for you. You don't have to pick everyone up. You don't have to be a high flyer. She just taught me to work with what you got, and that was again really helpful because I wasn't sure how to do that.
Okay. Scooter, you have a question.
Yes. Now, from our research, you are very much into cosplay, including some very impressive cosplaying from The Witcher. Do you have a favorite cosplay outfit that you've done so far, and are you working on anything special for the future?
Uh, The Witcher is definitely my favorite. I put a lot of time into that one. I wanted to make sure I had all the details down. Didn't even you can't even see most of the details, but like I made sure to have everything down for those. I do want to do more. It is very time consuming, which is what I learned when I did the Geralt cosplay. It's a lot of time, a lot of effort, but I would like to keep doing it. I want to go to cons. I've never been to one, but I want to cosplay and go to one. I feel like that would be a lot of fun. That's something I've always really wanted to do.
All right.
Now, are you a Witcher fan of the video game or of the Netflix series?
The video game first, but I have watched the Netflix series, and I will be watching the new season. I've also watched the Netflix animated movie as well.
Okay. Now, is there any like cosplay characters that if in a bubble you had all the time to walk on it, you would do a costume of?
That's a good question. Whew. You know what? I wrestled once as like a Ninja Turtle. I would love to do an actual cosplay as a Ninja Turtle. Um, just because it was at the time, I literally just put on a green shirt and I think like Ninja Turtle tights, and I was like, yeah, I'm a turtle. But that would be cool to actually do properly. What else could I do? I don't know. There's definitely I had like a list of characters at one point, but the only reason I said turtles because I'm literally looking at my Ninja Turtle figures at the moment. They're just staring me in the face, so that's the first thing that came to mind.
A kind of revamp of the Toxic Turtles from WWE.
Yes.
All right. Um, Now you did a couple of shots for Impact Wrestling. Can you tell us how that came about and what the experience was like and what did you learn?
Yeah, I had literally I think the first time I had gotten asked to do anything for Impact, I was a bridesmaid for Sue Young. And they just asked, if you come on down to this taping, this is what we've got. Uh, Basically, if you want to do it, show up. That's what I did. And then the next time was, do you want to wrestle Jordan Grace? And showed up, did it again. And then it was, okay, this is our next, weekend of tapings. Are you available? And that kind of went from there. And every time I was getting a little bit more to do, which was really cool and really nice. And I'm so, so grateful. I can't say how grateful I am for the time I worked with Impact. But yeah, it really was just like, hey, are you available? And that's how it started, and it just kind of went from there. And I learned a lot from Impact too. Like I learned a lot about wrestling on TV because it is not the same as wrestling in front of just a live, independent crowd. I learned a lot about how everything works with a TV wrestling show. It's just a huge, huge learning experience that I would definitely, again, like I would not be the wrestler I am without those experiences.
is Impact in your sights coming back into wrestling? Yeah.
I mean, hopefully. I don't know. I don't know. They've got such a loaded women's division. I mean, I would love to be a part of it. I will see. I don't know. I wish I could say I knew, but I would I would love to, but I don't know.
Fair enough. Scooter, you have a question.
Yes. So on your Instagram, there is a picture of you holding on to a snake. So to me, that's clearly an indication of being fearless, or at least having no fear of them. But is there something you, the seemingly fearless woman, fears the most?
Mm, what do I fear?
Eh,
I this is gonna sound weird because of what again you're a wrestler, this shouldn't be a fear, but I hate crowds. I hate being in large crowds. I get very scared.
Me
I
too.
like if I'm at a I've never if I'm in like a scenario like a almost like a fair or like any anything where there's just like a large group of people, I get very scared and I start looking for like ways to get out of it. And I don't know if it's because I'm super tiny and like everyone just towers over me. But yeah, I hate being in a large crowd. I have no problem being in front of, but being in that crowd is terrifying.
All
I'm
right.
the same way. I would say that it's a fear, but I just if I see a large crowd and I have to go in there, I would rather turn around and not be a part of it.
Yep, that's me. Same
Yeah.
here.
Now, can you tell us about retiring the Barry Wrestling Women's Championship?
Yeah, there was a conversation I had with the promoter, Sean Gibson, who a great promoter. He's really taken Barry Wrestling from something really small and made it really like a really pretty big show, and like a lot of talent want to work there, which for me is always important about a promotion. You want people to want to work there. But we had a conversation, and the big thing issue for me was there was no women's division, and that's just kind of an issue that Ontario specifically has, is that there's not a lot of women. Um, and it was just me and Jody Threat, and a lot of the time we couldn't even be on the same show because one of us would be somewhere else, or someone was sick, or someone was not available for that day. We spent a year just trying to have a match for the title. That eventually, I talked to Sean and said, "What if we, I don't think this is a good idea, only because we're kind of limited to what we can do. You can't have a champion and only have two people fighting. A championship and have two people fighting for it. There's only so far you can go with it." So we made the decision to retire it, and I'm happy with that decision because it's opened us up to do intergender wrestling, which at Barry was something that was never done. It was never really allowed, but now it's something we've started doing, and the fans really enjoy, and we really enjoy. And we still do have, just women's matches, and they're a lot of fun. But I'd like that we opened up the opportunity for pretty much anyone to have a shot at any title in Barry Wrestling.
Was one of the problems Gabriel Ferzo winning the championship before you did?
No, I wouldn't call that a problem. It was a little strange, though.
Well, according to him, he was very proud of winning the Barry Wrestling Women's Championship. He took that with pride.
I mean, I will say he did, and he's the only person to hold every title. So I mean, good for him. But I was a little, I guess, a little jealous that he had won it before me. It felt weird.
Like, if only I was there that night.
I was there that night, and I was still like, "Huh, what is happening?"
Then what happened? Why was
I was wrestling somebody else.
what the hell?
Listen, I don't book the shows.
But I would have been like, what the hell? He won the championship?
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm proud of him, but man, it was weird.
Scooter, you have a question.
Yes, and this is a question specifically reserved for our guests from North of the border in Canada. We are avid foodies as well as wrestling fans here on Wrestling with Entertainment. So, my question, in your opinion, where is the best poutine in Canada?
Ooh. Here's the thing. Everyone does a poutine, and not many people do it well. Um, I guess I'm gonna say that Smoke's Poutineery has the
Mhm.
best,
Mm.
only because you can really customize it to what you want. Um, I feel like a lot of places when they give you poutine, they just dump some gravy, put some cheese on it, and there you go. But like sometimes the gravy's not good, or the fries are super soggy.
Mhm.
But Smokes gets it like just right, so I'm gonna say Smokes Poutineery.
That is the we've heard Smokes more than once from our Canadian guests. Could you elaborate on that more? What is a well dish of poutine for you? Do the cheese curds have to be white cheddar? Is it consistency? Is it what is it?
Yes, so the cheese they do have to be white cheddar, and they have to be actual cubes. I can't have like stringy cheese everywhere. It's not the same. Um, the gravy needs to be warm, but not like too hot. The and it can't smother the fries because then everything gets really soggy. The fries have to be, they have to be fried. They can't be like frozen first though, because then you get a really weird texture once it mixes with the gravy. So they got to be freshly fried fries, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, they got to be freshly fried fries. You need the white cheddar cubes, and you need a good gravy.
Mm.
Hmm.
Have you ever tried your hands at making poutine?
Oh no, I'd be awful at that. I'm, I can cook. I'm not a good cook. I'll say it right now. I can bake some things. I'm not good at frying. That's for sure. So I'm out of there.
All right.
And Scooter, there was one more question for Canadians
Yes.
from Canada.
Wait, did you just say comedians from Canada, James?
No, Canadians from Canada.
As if from anywhere else. Yes.
Just don't
Now,
forget to ask the Burger King question.
I'll Burger King your face. Uh, so this question was specific, but I'm changing it up a little bit, and that this is of course about someone. Well, at least I would consider, but then again, I'm not Canadian, as Canada's greatest national treasure. Is Ryan Reynolds Canada's greatest national treasure? And if not, who is?
Oh no, it's Ryan Reynolds. That is Canada's national treasure.
Clear, concise, to the point. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I loved how it was immediately, it was that there was no thinking about it. Yes.
The man is Deadpool and Pikachu, okay? He is Canada's national treasure.
Now, since you've been injured, you've been managing the team of Mark Wheeler and Jesse V. Uh, could you tell us how that came about and what that experience is like?
Yeah, so I was presented with the opportunity at Barry Wrestling to take over their contracts from Nug, who was their previous manager. He had to leave for a period of time, and I was coming to the shows because I couldn't wrestle yet, so I was just kind of watching, and I wasn't okay with that. I wanted to be a part of the show. I knew I could offer something even if I couldn't get in the ring, so I took their contracts and I that's decided to make them the best. I mean, Mark was already the champion. I've just made sure he stays the champion, and Jesse V has not lost a match since. So I'm doing something right.
All right. And is there something watching the matches from the outside perspective that is kind of giving you perspective on your own career?
Yeah, it's definitely like because when you're at a wrestling show and you're getting ready to have your own match, you're not really paying attention to what anyone else is doing. You're really focused on yourself. And as as you should be, but at the same time, you kind of want to know what everyone else is doing, how everyone else does it. Like what do people do? How do I A, not do the same things, and B, bring myself up to their level? Because like I feel like a lot of people on Barrie Wrestling are very talented wrestlers. They're all very good at what they do, and again, sitting back and watching that, I want to learn how they do that. I want to take bits from everyone. I'm a big proponent of you can learn something from everybody in wrestling. Doesn't matter how long they've been doing it. Everyone can teach you something. So sitting back and watching matches for pretty much months, I've just been going to shows and watching matches and helping out. Has really taught me quite a bit about how like things I can integrate into my own moveset and what I do.
And you've been doing a commentary as well.
A little bit. I was supposed to do some commentary for the Love Wrestling show in Edmonton. There was a bit of a technical mishap, but we're working on just doing some re-recording over that. But yeah, it's nerve-wracking, very scary. I think I was more scared to do commentary than I've ever been to wrestle.
And was that how did that help you in your career? And did you take anything from doing commentary and maybe bringing it into your wrestling style when you come back?
It's definitely something I've been thinking about, seeing how someone else basically does their job within wrestling and how that would affect what I do. It helps me know, do I need to do certain things? Do I need to tell people certain things before I go out there so that they know, what's going on? Are there certain things that I should make a point of in the ring so that commentary can catch it and can really help tell that story even more to whoever's watching at home.
Right. And you said when you come back, we might see a new version of Alexia McCall. Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, it's been a long pandemic. It's been especially long the past 5 months. I've just been, for about a month, I was sitting at home. I couldn't do much. I couldn't even cut my own food. It was very sad. I did not enjoy it, and I've just been working every single day to make sure that I am the strongest I've ever been. I've not been chewing a lot of bubble gum, I will say. I've kind of traded that in for a bionic shoulder, and it's been working out great. So we'll see what happens.
So you're saying you came to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and you're all out of bubble gum.
Potentially. We're headed in that direction. I think I have a couple of squares left, but I'm getting low.
Now, switching back to Backyard Pro, can you tell us about the first match you had against Moondog?
It was an experience. That was the first match we had ever filmed anyone had filmed for Backyard Pro. So we weren't really sure how to do it. We're watching backyard matches to kind of prepare, but we knew what we were doing wasn't backyard wrestling in a traditional sense. It was kind of a parody on it. So we were really trying to find a way to mix good wrestling with the not so good backyard wrestling and mix in some comedy and just put it all together and make a good product. But we kind of just went out and had a match of some sort. I don't know if people would call it a match. There was a bell. My hand was raised. I consider it a match. There were a few wrestling moves. But there were a couple. I know there were a couple.
Yes,
I did a boxing crab at one point. I remember that. And then of course, we jumped into a lake. We do all the crazy stuff. But yeah, it was definitely. But we had just shot it. We didn't take any breaks. We just went from start to finish, and we were just like, is everything good? Did this go okay? Like we were so nervous. But it would really kind of set the template for how are these matches going to work? And then from that point, I say we as if I'm the one filming them. Vaughn Vertigo is the mastermind behind Backyard Pro. he kind of realized that it's best to shoot they're cinematic matches, essentially best to shoot them in segments instead of straight through like we had done. So everyone else got the benefit of getting takes while we just had to do one. We had one take to get everything right.
Oh, so you didn't. It was one long fluid match. It didn't go do this cut take action.
I think we had one cut after we got out of the lake, and it was just so we could get out of the lake. But yeah, other than that, it was one long take.
Wow. And that sounds very intense. Just going straight through like that.
It was. It was, like I said, it was kind of scary. And we knew we only had the one take because once you're in the lake, we were at a cabin. We didn't have anything to dry off and start over. We essentially, the second we got in the lake, that was it. Whatever we had, we had. So yeah, we just kind of went for it. It was a little frightening, especially because at that point, that was the first time we had wrestled since the pandemic had started. So we were especially nervous because we're like, oh, can we even remember how to do the few moves that we're doing?
And where exactly was that shot? Because it wasn't exactly a backyard, considering all the other backyards that we saw in Backyard Pro.
Yeah, we shot that at a cottage. My parents have a cottage. They graciously allowed us to shoot that at. We're very lucky.
And my last Backyard Pro Wrestling question: who was the Lucha Peapod you interrogated?
We still don't know.
So it's a mystery?
It is a mystery. It's another mystery Detective Cookie Dough has. She's been a little preoccupied with Jay Wheeler and now Rob Banks, but she will eventually get to the pickle.
Ah, it's a pickle.
Yes, he's the Lucha Pickle.
Now, the most controversial thing you will be asked on a wrestling podcast: pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
Always. That is the only pizza I get.
Yes.
It's the only kind you get?
Yes, I always get pineapple, bacon, and what else do I put? Pineapple, bacon. Sometimes I put pepperoni. Sometimes I put ham. Really depends on what I'm in the mood for. But always pineapple. I love pineapple on pizza.
What's your spirit Pokemon?
Spirit? Oh, I want to say something cool, but honestly, it's probably like a Jigglypuff or something. That was very good.
Oh, thank you.
No, I lied. There is one more Backyard Pro question. Are we going to see Detective Cookie Dough wrestle The Rock?
I mean, if he ever finishes wrestling Psychotic Michael, sure. But I don't think that feud's ending anytime soon.
It's like, I have to point this out. You were the first person, because we usually ask the question to our non-Canadian guests, because a lot of our guests have been involved in Backyard Pro, but we ask about if they would wrestle a Rock, not Dwayne Johnson, not the country, but you were the first person, after we explained the story, we say Psycho Mike. You were the first person to refer to him as Psychotic Michael.
That's what he calls himself, so that's what I'm going to call him.
So we're not going to see a unification of the Backyard Pro and World Heavyweight Championship?
I don't know. I mean, the Rock is pretty unstoppable. I could try. But like I said, I'll wait for Psychotic Michael to be done with him, and then if I get the chance, I'll try. But I worry that if I try, I will be losing to The Rock. He's very dominant in Backyard Pro.
Even if it's a Tungsten Man match?
I feel like especially if it's a Tungsten Man match, that went on forever and it was still a draw.
I know! Like, after all that build-up, and then it just ended in a draw. And On the show, we love Tracy Smothers. Do you know the acronym for Doug?
I do not.
T is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for ugly, and G is for jail, because a Doug
A
can't
thug
spell.
can't spell.
Oh my goodness.
That,
That's good to know. I'll keep that written down.
and it is once again time for that segment on the show. Alexia Nicole's Bizarre Adventure. You're a pro wrestler that goes up and down the road, and weird, crazy, and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
Crazy and bizarre. I feel like I've never had any like truly crazy stories. We almost ran out of gas once. We were on our way to a group of us were on our way to a show, or actually on our way back home from a show in Timmins, Ontario. And if anyone knows where Timmins is, if you know where Toronto is, you just have to drive 8 hours north, straight, no stopping, and that's Timmins. And you can't leave there at night because there's no lights and there's moose everywhere. And if you hit a moose, you're basically dead. So you have to leave, and you can't leave at night. You have to stay there, wait till there's daylight. And we're driving, and there's about a 3 or 4 hour stretch where there's nothing. And we had passed the one gas station before you enter that 4 hour stretch of nothing. And we're like, oh, we're fine on gas. You know, we're at like half a tank, a quarter of a tank. Whoever was driving at like 150, trying to get us there quickly. And we very quickly almost ran out of gas. We pretty much, had we not found a gas station when we did, we would have been pushing the car to the closest gas station. But that's probably the craziest thing that's happened. Like we've been through a few snowstorms. I've never had any like bad flights or anything. I've been pretty lucky travel wise that nothing crazy has ever happened.
All right. And where do you see yourself in 5 years?
That's a good question. Honestly, I don't know how to answer that question anymore. The pandemic has kind of made me rethink about like where I could be, what I could do. Just because, you know, you have so much time to sort of sit and think about what your life is outside of wrestling, because there's just so many years without it. And I definitely think wrestling will be in my life 5 years from now. In what capacity, I don't know. I would like to be working for, you know, wrestling for a living. But who knows what will happen. I'm very scared to say I will be doing this in 5 years and then something else major globally happens and then my career trajectory is set off again. So I don't know. I will be in wrestling. What? I have no idea. Will I be wrestling, managing, working backstage, training? I would like to be a part of it no matter what. And something I want to do in wrestling is help out as many people as I can. So if I can somehow help people, that would be great.
All right. And God willing, this is the only pandemic we ever face in our lifetime.
Hopefully. I never want to say that it is, but hopefully.
Yes, fingers crossed. It is now again time for Coleco's Colossal Question, not featuring Coleco. They're making a movie about your wrestling career. They got Jennifer Aniston to play you. Every movie has a soundtrack. What would be the first 3 songs on the Alexia Nicole playlist that best encapsulate your wrestling career?
Oh God, it's gonna be a weird mix of songs on that playlist. There definitely be a random assortment of Disney music. You'll have some wrestling theme songs, some other wrestlers, like from the oh God, what volume was it? What volume was it from the WWF? The theme songs. I don't remember, but whatever one had the Eddie's Lie, Cheat, and Steal song, that entire album's on it.
I believe that was 4. I believe that was 4.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That's on there. We'll throw on some My Chemical Romance, some Simple Plan, and some random techno music. And that I feel like sums up my wrestling career.
You said, and speak of him and his solo appeal. We are joined by Kaliko right now.
I know, man. Ugh.
Dude,
Hate when I'm a busy man. I know. Hate when I'm a busy man. I'm in high demand around these streets. The streets know me. I heard random techno songs. I'm just hearing. Are we thinking house techno? Are we thinking like international dubstep techno? It's so like techno got so many. I didn't think there was a whole world of techno, but there is. Oh yes.
I'm thinking like early techno, like 80s, like synth, kind of mixed in with today.
So if I say there is a techno song that's in my head, the one that goes, "This is your night, dancing free until morning."
Oh, I know that song. That's it. Yep, that's on there.
That's Amble.
Oh,
Amble sings that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. There you go. I served my purpose. There you go.
You also said Disney songs. What songs from Disney?
Let's see. We'll have "I'll Make a Man Out of You." We'll have most of the Goofy movie soundtrack.
Oh,
out on
I'll
the
make
road.
I'll make a man out of you. Basically, oh, you had me a Goofy movie, and I'll make a man out of you.
Maybe a couple of princess songs, but yeah, that's my music.
Oddly enough, not the first time the Goofy movie has come up in an interview.
It's the most underrated Goofy movie of all, or Disney movie of all time. Literally talks about fatherhood, and no one cares.
Someone call a taxi and get me out of here to Beverly Hills 90210. Me and Max relaxing like the old days. Don't demonetize us, YouTube.
And don't even get me started on "Be Prepared" from Scar, because I feel like the Lion,
Oh, that's a good one.
the Lion King version in '94 was awesome, and then they tried to do it in the real life film, and I was pissed off. I walked out of the Lion King just because that song was done so bad, poorly.
I mean,
I was like,
I never saw the remake.
oh please, oh.
I was
Don't.
worried that I wouldn't like it, and I didn't want to ruin it, so I was like, not gonna watch it.
Don't
Save
waste
yourself.
your money.
Do not watch it.
Save it, because you would have been like me. The whole reason I even went, I was like, bro, if they don't do "Be Prepared" right, I'm asking for a refund. And sure as hell, walked my ass right on out. I demand a refund because this song was not speaking to me as it should.
All right, Kaliko. One question. What do you got for Alexia?
Ooh. I would like to know the balance that you deal with, because the one thing that I always say when it comes to like life balance and wrestling balance and life balance, because you're in school for criminology, correct? If I'm not wrong.
So I graduated in 2014, and then I went back to school. I went back to school in January, and I graduated then again in August.
See, that's what I'm talking about. So I would just like to know if you just could elaborate on that balance, because one person that sticks out when we think of wrestlers like assuming higher education degrees is Xavier Woods, but they don't really, they talk about it as more as like the positive aspects, but they don't even talk about how the mental grind of literally having, especially when you were doing your wrestling career and you were still going to college for criminology, having to physically attend class and having to schedule your whole educational pursuit around your passion. And I just wanted to give you a chance to elaborate that grind, because to me, I think that's a grind that's really worth it, because I'm a person that went to work and went to school at the same time, so I can only imagine wrestling, it would be like 10 times harder.
Yeah, it was hard, especially because I'd always done something outside of school, like when I was in elementary school. So I always had like kind of figured out how to like manage everything. But when I started wrestling, it was a little bit harder because I had started wrestling in high school. So I started wrestling. I was in school. I had a part-time job. So it was a lot to handle. Basically, I had no free time. I still don't have any free time. I don't know how eliminating one of those three things still leaves me with no free time. But it was hard to manage that at first because it was really, I can only take so many days off of work. I have to be in class, can't miss school. And that just got harder when I got to university because I'm now paying for school. That class is very expensive and I don't want to miss it. And if you miss one day, you miss a lot of information. So I couldn't go on those week-long trips out of the country, and I couldn't take those 2-month excursions somewhere else because I had to finish school. That was a deal I had made with my parents when I started wrestling, is that I would finish school. So I wanted to make sure that was done. So wrestling did have to take I didn't have to put it on the back burner necessarily, but I did have to prioritize other things instead of wrestling, which was hard because I wanted to be wrestling more than anything. But I did know that school always came first. So I always had to put school first, and then I'd work whenever I could, and then I'd wrestle whenever I could. But yeah, it's difficult. It's a very difficult to manage. I often brought textbooks with me just to make sure I could keep up with what I was doing in school.
All right. And
Oh my God, I had one more follow up with that.
well, follow up.
So, considering that you did talk about the grind of the education, if there was one thing that university or going to college and going to university that translated into wrestling, what would it be?
Honestly, critical thinking skills and time management. I've learned how to manage my time a lot better now, and I've learned how to approach situations both within actually wrestling and then sort of the wrestling business from a different mind point of just my feelings. Because I feel like when you act just based off your feelings, you can do things that might turn out poorly, and you might regret. So spending so much time in school and the criminology, especially, where I'm learning about what causes people to commit crimes and do certain things, it kind of helped me understand myself and how to handle myself in this wrestling world.
Sounds like a First 48 fan right there. It screams First 48. I love those. But
And what is a match people should go out of their way to see that best shows off what Alexia Nicole is all about?
Oh man. I have a few that I think people should see. I think people should see my first match I had with Jazz. I wish I remembered the date of that. I think it was in December of 2018 for Greektown Wrestling. That was a great match. I think that really sort of started me on the path that I am right now, or that I was pre-pandemic. Another match that I think people should see, I had a triple threat match in Kaizen Pro Wrestling, which is out in Nova Scotia. It was against Kobe Christ and Gabriel Fuerza, and a lot of fun. I really recommend people watch that. And I also wrestled Jordan Grace. I don't remember what year it was, but it was for the Smash Canusa show. So a big Smash Women's show where they would have, I think it was 5 Americans against 5 Canadians. That was my big Smash debut. That was the first time I ever wrestled there. It was my first Canusa. And the first time I ever worked with Jordan, who I've gone on to work with several times since. And it's a match I'm really proud of. So it's a match I want people to see. And they can also watch the one I had with her in SummerSlam weekend in 2019 for Progress Wrestling.
All right. And since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom.
No actual doom to be incurred.
This is our speed round, our bonus round, the round where we see who you really are, Alexia. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Bret Hart.
Worst wrestler of all time.
Eva Marie.
Yes!
Ding, ding, ding,
Yes!
ding, 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 ding,
I'll
Nice.
ding.
say it. I'll
That is
say
the
it.
correct
Yes!
answer. Not the
Very
first
few,
time we've had
very
Eva
few get
Marie
it.
said on the show. And for people that don't like answering that question, she's the default answer.
Okay. Yes.
Always.
You know what? That was the first thing that came to mind, so I wasn't gonna try and think about it anymore.
You're main eventing WrestleMania for the Women's Championship. Who is your opponent?
Io Shirai.
Ooh.
Hmm.
Nice.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
Oh, Randy Orton's what's it called? His first theme, the one he had when he had the pyro.
Burning My
Born in My
Light.
Oh,
Life.
what is
Burn
it?
in like mine.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that song
Burn-
is that song goes hard. Burn in
That's,
my life.
that's definitely an underrated one.
Oh yeah.
I prefer it to his current song. I think that's the best song.
I think the voices fits his what he's doing now better than that did when he first came in, but yeah, I think that was just a super underrated thing for him for sure.
Yeah, you know, voices definitely suits him more. But oh god, "Burning My Light" was a great song.
Oh yeah. It was like between that one and This Fire Burns were like two hella underrated.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is
Dead.
squash, fruit or vegetable.
Vegetable? Is it
Yes!
Is it
Yes!
technically
Yes.
a
See.
a
Oh my
gourd?
God. Thank you. See.
No, it is technically a fruit, but
Oh, okay.
you are now in good graces with Kaliko Yachts, which
No.
means a hell of a lot more. A part of Squash Squad.
Well, let me ask her this: when you go to the grocery store, do you see squash next to the damn oranges and bananas?
No.
Thank you. My point proven.
No, they're the next aisle over with the other fruit like pumpkins and zucchini and cucumbers.
Zucchini and cucumbers are
Thank you.
vegetables. What is going
Thank
on?
you. See, thank you. Because they are damn well ain't next to no blueberries. I know that for damn sure.
So the definition of fruit is whatever is next to other fruit at the supermarket, apparently.
Hey, well, you need to tell these super fast food, whatever grocery chains to rearrange their shit.
I'm just glad that we established that avocado is a fruit and that we're fine with that.
I will never get over the fact that it's a fruit because even my well, never mind. I got vatos who say that it ain't a fruit.
Just remember, guacamole is fruit salad.
New Japan
Oof,
wrestler.
I don't like this. I don't like how that sounds.
New Japan wrestler Taichi, his ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question: what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
It really depends. I gotta be honest. I think for dudes, you gotta cover the full butt. Unless you got a really nice butt, I think you can have some cheeks showing. I feel like with girls, there's a little more leeway. But I do think there's too much butt. You gotta have at least half your butt covered at all times. And I know I'm saying that. Well, I know mine definitely hasn't been at some point, but I do think half your butt should always be covered.
The left half or the right half?
Half of each cheek. So I guess I don't. I guess a 2/3 of your butt should always be covered then.
Alright. And the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
Definitely not. I've had a conversation in the gym about Darby Allin, but not in a supermarket.
And that is the correct answer. And that will conclude this interview. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with us, Alexia.
No problem. This was fun. Thank you for having me again.
Oh, absolutely. And where can we find you on social media, your merchandise, everything else that we need?
Yes, you can find me on Twitter at It's Alexia Nicole, on Instagram at Alexia Nicole. My online shop, I do have a pro wrestling tee store. So if you go to www.prowrestlingtees.com/bubblegum, you will find all my shirts. I also have a Big Cartel shop. So alexianicolewrestler.bigcartel.com. I'm like 90%. Again, I'm not sure if that's the actual URL. I haven't typed it in a while. That could be wrong, but it's on all my socials. So you just follow the link, and I promise it's there.
And you don't even need to do that. You can, all those links will be in the description of the video below, both on YouTube and Castbox. You've been listening to her for an hour. Buy a damn shirt.
Yeah, listen to the man. Buy a shirt.
If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment, both on YouTube and Castbox. Of course, this was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. Join us next week as we interview Space Jesus, Billy Starks. The week after that, Logan Black. And if you want us to know what we're doing, please follow us at Wrestling with E, both on Twitter and Instagram for all the latest news and happenings and all that good stuff. Follow us individually as well. I am at JamesJ993. Where can they find Kaliko?
I don't know if they could find me because I feel like I'm Waldo. Everybody's trying to pull me. But anyways, if you can find me, you can find me at I am Kaliko.
And where can they find Scooter?
As always, you can find me hiding in your closet. And you can find me on Twitter at ScooterDust. And of course, James and I hosting the Remix, the world's still to this day first only alternative commentary live streaming podcast, coming to you in just about 2 weeks from a brand new location with the Survivor Series 6-year anniversary remix. Plus, find me along with Rico Constantino Jr. on the Smoking Dragons Twitch channels, twitch.tv/Smoking Dragons.
Alright, Alexia, when I say wrestling wit, you say entertainment. Alright?
Yes.
For our very special guest, Alexia Nicole, Kaliko Yacht, Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with.
Entertainment.
Hey guys, this is Brutal Bob Evans from Hangs with Bob Seminars and TheWrestleLife.com, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.